Let's start with the one that no one saw coming, Nikocado Avocado. For years, Nick was an internet meme. A former vegan violinist turned mukbang creator, he built an empire of chaotic eating videos and breakdowns that blurred the line between performance and reality. His weight gain, his public meltdowns, even his catchphrases, everything became part of his brand. By 2020, he had ballooned to over 400 pounds, documenting every dramatic moment online. Fans wondered if his health would collapse live on camera, and speculation about his future was everywhere. But in 2024, just when people assumed his story would end in tragedy, Nikocado shocked the world with one of the biggest twists in YouTube history. Out of nowhere, he uploaded a video titled 2 Steps Ahead. Gone was the chaotic persona. In his place was a transformed version of himself, healthier, calmer, and clearly in control. Fans were stunned. Had he been planning this for years? Was it a social experiment? Conspiracy spread that he'd pre-recorded content, fake breakdowns, even used surgery or drugs to get results? Some didn't believe it was real at all. But for once, the comments weren't laughing at him. They were applauding him. In a single upload, Nikocado turned years of mockery into one of the most talked about comebacks ever. It wasn't just about the weight loss, it was about the genius of keeping the world guessing and then flipping the script at the perfect time. Viewers who once dismissed him as a walking punchline suddenly started calling him one of the smartest creators on the platform. Others argued he had pulled off the most elaborate piece of long-term content strategy ever seen, drip-feeding chaos to build anticipation before revealing control. Whether you believed it was authentic or calculated, one thing was certain. Nikocado had completely rewritten his legacy in a way no one thought possible. If Nick's return showed the internet's love for a shocking twist, Shane Dawson's return showed the exact opposite. Shane was once the king of YouTube reinvention. He went from edgy skits in the early 2010s to reaction videos to polished documentaries that drew tens of millions of views. But his past never truly went away. Clips of him doing blackface, making inappropriate jokes about minors, and other disturbing content began resurfacing around 2014 and never stopped haunting him. For years, he apologized, rebranded, and moved on. But in 2020, it all boiled over. Celebrities like Jada Pinkett Smith called him out. Old videos went viral again, and his carefully crafted empath image crumbled. Shane disappeared for over a year, and when he came back in 2021 with conspiracy videos, it wasn't the triumphant return he'd hoped for. Sure, the views were still in the millions, but the reception had changed. Once beloved, he was now seen as manipulative, insincere, and damaged beyond repair. Unlike Nikocado, who turned internet mockery into admiration, Shane's comeback only proved that not every rebrand works, especially when your entire reputation is built on running from your past. What made it worse was that Shane's new uploads felt like a ghost of his old self, trying to act as if nothing had happened, while fans were still demanding accountability. The internet had evolved. Audiences were no longer willing to forget and move on. Every video he posted was flooded with reminders of his past scandals. Instead of curiosity or support, his return drew skepticism and even disgust. For many, Shane's fall wasn't just about bad jokes or edgy content, it was about the pattern of avoiding responsibility. And when that trust was gone, no amount of rebranding could bring it back. Not every return ends in disaster though. Just look at Gideon. He started as a prankster with viral hits like public boxing, quickly building millions of subscribers. But when he pushed things too far on Twitch in 2022, raiding Pokemon's stream with insults, his career took a nosedive. Permanently banned, labeled toxic, and with his future in doubt, Gideon could have disappeared. Instead, he changed. At first, he tried to fight back, tweeting rants about being treated unfairly, but over time he realized the smarter move was to own up. He apologized publicly, even filmed a collab with Pokemon, and slowly began reshaping his content. By 2023, Gideon was deleting old prank videos, openly talking about his faith, and even exposing online predators in live streams. Fans who once wrote him off began praising him for growth. Then in 2024, after 2 years of waiting, Twitch finally lifted his ban. Gideon's comeback wasn't flashy, but it was real. It showed that even on YouTube, admitting mistakes and growing as a person can be a redemption arc in itself. But then there's David Dobrik, a comeback that almost no one asked for. Once the golden boy of YouTube vlogging, David's rise seemed unstoppable. He went from Vine star to vlogger, hosted Nickelodeon award shows, and became one of the biggest internet celebrities in the world. But behind the scenes, cracks were forming. Former friends accused him of manipulating and humiliating them for content. Jeff Wittek nearly lost his life when one of David's stunts went wrong, leaving him with permanent injuries and sparking a legal battle that played out in public. And in 2021, SA allegations tied to David's inner circle destroyed what was left of his reputation. Sponsors dropped him, his vlogs disappeared, and he stepped away in disgrace. For years, silence seemed like the only option, and most people assumed his career was over for good. Yet in 2025, David returned with a vlog showing off his body transformation, smiling and laughing like nothing had happened. The response? Brutal. Comments accused him of dodging accountability, mocking him for pretending his scandals never existed. Fans pointed out that his whole charm felt forced, and the new version of David seemed hollow. Unlike Gideon, who showed growth, or Nikocado, who shocked the world with transformation, David's return felt like denial. It wasn't a reinvention, it was a reminder of everything he never answered for. His comeback proved that you can't just outweight controversy, you actually have to face it head-on, or the internet will never let you forget. Of course, not every comeback has to be tied to scandal. Cory Kenshin is proof of that. Known for his horror playthroughs and his warm, genuine personality, Cory has been on YouTube since 2009. But what makes him unique is that he disappears a lot. Sometimes for months, sometimes for nearly a year. Most creators would lose their audience completely. Cory only grew more loved. His honesty about burnout, mental health, and faith made his community fiercely loyal. When he came back in 2024 with a new project, a manga announcement, his fans weren't angry about the wait. They were just happy to see him again. For Cory, every return feels less like a comeback and more like a reunion. And that's rare on YouTube, where absence usually kills momentum. Cory's story shows that if you build trust with your audience, you don't have to post constantly to stay relevant. On the other end of the spectrum is Gabby Hannah, whose comebacks almost always fall flat. A Vine star turned YouTuber turned musician, Gabby was once everywhere. But scandals with friends like Jessie Smiles and constant drama about lying and manipulation ruined her credibility. Every time she tried to reset, through music videos, BuzzFeed interviews, or TikTok, audiences grew more tired. By the time she returned in 2023, people had already moved on. Unlike Cory, whose fans wait eagerly for his returns, Gabby's comebacks are met with indifference at best, ridicule at worst. What used to be viral moments now feel more like desperation. Instead of excitement, her uploads are met with skepticism, as people expect another spiral or controversy around the corner. Gabby's story highlights the brutal truth of YouTube. A comeback only works if your audience still trusts you, and for Gabby, that trust is long gone. Cody's return falls somewhere in between. He was one of the most beloved commentary creators, known for his humor and his partnership with Noel. But in 2024, allegations resurfaced about inappropriate behavior in his past, brought to light by Tana Mongo. Cody responded vaguely, clearly constrained by legal advice, but the damage was done. His comeback videos still get views, but the trust is gone. Fans feel uneasy, like they're watching someone who never really addressed the elephant in the room. Finally, there's TFUE, the Fortnite legend. His story is less about controversy and more about burnout. At his peak, he was breaking records, competing in tournaments, and living every gamer's dream. But lawsuits with FaZe Clan, declining results, and endless pressure wore him down. In 2023, he retired with tears in his eyes, telling fans he just couldn't keep going. But just months later, he was back. This time streaming casually on Kick, mixing Fortnite with IRL content. The views weren't what they once were, but the support was real. For TFUE, the comeback wasn't about reclaiming glory. It was about finding joy in gaming again. From Nikocado's shocking twist to Shane's failed redemption, from David's denial to Cory's resilience, YouTube comebacks are never the same. Some win hearts, some spark outrage, and some rewrite the rules entirely. But one thing's always true, on this platform, disappearing is never the end of the story. The real question is how you choose to return. Because at the end of the day, a comeback isn't just about views. It's about trust, timing, and whether the audience believes you've changed. Get it right, and you can turn mockery into admiration. Get it wrong, and you risk becoming a cautionary tale. And in the ever-shifting world of YouTube, the line between the most loved and the most hated is only one video apart. The platform thrives on redemption arcs, but it also never forgets. Every return is a gamble, and the stakes aren't just numbers on a screen. They're your legacy. On YouTube, the real question isn't if you can come back. It's whether people want you back at all.